Would you like some top tips for success in the SQE2 assessments? If so, you are in the right place, because as the next SQE2 exam looms very closely, we'll be sharing with you in this and later videos loads of examples of things to do and not to do when it comes to the SQE2 assessments. Stay tuned.
If you wanna be solicitors, why don't you come and visit us at SQETV?
So what does a client interview typically look like when it comes to the SQE2 assessment? Well, there are 3 stages. Firstly, 10 minutes of preparation, followed by the 25-minute interview and 25 minutes writing up an attendance note confirming the advice you gave. What I'm going to confirm right now is how you use that initial 10 minutes, because that's really important. You'll typically be given around about 2-3 pages maybe of factual background about the client and the scenario, and you'll also be given some rough paper, a pen and a highlighter. And it's really important you use those materials to your advantage so that you're prepped as much as you can before the interview. So highlight particular names, particular dates, particular amounts of money that might be involved, any numbers, because they may well be important to the ultimate advice you give. And having those to hand, standing out because they're highlighted on the materials, may actually just give you a slight edge in the assessment. Lots of things to think about. You're juggling multiple balls in terms of fact pattern, listening to the client in the interview and thinking about what question to ask next, what advice to give, while also demonstrating the skill. There's a lot of juggling going on, but with the right sort of preparation on a good SQE2 course, you should get through the assessment.
SQETV.
Here's a top tip for any client interview you may be asked to do as part of your SQE2 assessment, and it's this: make sure you demonstrate what we call active listening. It's very similar to demonstrating good body language, the type to make sure you've got good eye contact with your client, making sure you're not slouched in your seat, that sort of thing. Because the whole purpose of demonstrating good body language and active listening is to give the client confidence that you're listening and totally focused on what they're saying. So demonstrating active listening is just every so often coming up with a few words like, okay, got it, particularly whilst they're going through their lengthy scenario. The last thing the client wants is for you to say nothing, because it doesn't look like that you're actually acknowledging what they're saying. Say something, but choose your words carefully. Don't do what one student of mine once did, bless them. What they did was they went, fantastic, marvellous, because they were getting what the client was saying. But unfortunately, the client was relaying quite a sad story, and therefore they probably needed to be more empathetic. So choose your words carefully, as well as demonstrating that you are actively listening.
SQETV.
We all know we have to have a good structure for an effective client interview, but what does a good structure look like? Well, it all starts off at the beginning of the interview, after you've got through the usual introductory pleasantries, by explaining to the client the roadmap ahead. Imagine it's like calling up 5 stops, and tell the client the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to give me details of why you're here today, the factual background, what you're looking to achieve. I'll then ask you some questions to fill in the gaps. That's step number 2. Step number 3 is I'll give you some advice on the problems or what you're looking to achieve today. And then step number 4, I'll explain the options you have going forward before we proceed to step number 5. And if I'm going to continue to act for you after this particular interview, you're going to have a set of jobs to do, I'm going to have a set of jobs to do, and then we can go away and make sure we action those accordingly. And the key thing is, whilst you're going through each of the stages of the interview, you name check each stage as you go along. It's called signposting, to make sure that the client's reminded that we've now finished our, say, advice section, and we're now going to go on and give some options. And that way the client can have confidence that you're giving not just good advice, that you're structuring and running the interview as you promised accordingly. And that all goes to help rapport.
SQETV.
Here's a top tip about the SQE2 client interviewing and assessment, and it relates to the 10 minutes you have before you go into the client interview. Remember, you'll be given some documents, typically 2 or 3 pages, that give you some facts about what the problem is that the client's come to see you about, or what they're trying to sort out, and who the relevant people are. But it won't be clear precisely what the client's come to see you about and what other facts may emerge during the course of the interview. That's obviously the purpose of the interview. What I've seen some students do is to get fixed in terms of what they think they're going to have to give advice on, almost in their head rehearse the advice in their preparation before they go into the interview. If you do that, there is a really strong risk that you'll be giving advice on an area of law that the client actually isn't asking you about. You need to listen really carefully in the interview itself why the client's come to see you, and then give the advice. By all means, anticipate, but also be prepared to pivot accordingly if it emerges that actually the client's come to see you about something slightly different.
SQETV.
Those were just some top tips we've got for you on how to prepare for your interviewing assessment, which forms part of the overall SQE2 exam. Hope you enjoyed it. There's loads more to come on interviewing and SQE2 skills preparation in general. Look out for those in later videos. And if you want to keep up to date with when our videos drop, do tap the notification bell you can see on the screen right here, and you'll make sure that you find out as soon as our videos drop. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. We love it when you do. And in the meantime, as we always do, when we finish a video on SQETV, we now say, it's time for the jingle.
If you wanna be solicitors, why don't you come and visit us at SQE2?